Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Athlete Hackers Podcast. My name is Chris Schrade.
And I'm Mark Spellman. Hope all is well and everybody had a wonderful week.
Mark, we had a previous podcast some time ago about multiple sport participation and how that is optimal for making good athletes. And you had a follow-up to that, from what I understand.
Yeah, after we talked about it, I wanted to see, how right we were about it. So I looked it up, and I tried to find out about this year's draft, but the information isn't out yet. But in 2017, out of the 32 first-round draft picks in the NFL, 30 of them played multiple sports in high school. So,
Wow.
just reaffirming what we said about, the youth athletic development as you're coming up. The more sports you play, the better. And as you get to the elite level, you narrow it down to whatever sport you want to participate in. And, the data kind of supports what we were saying.
It sure does. So if you want to be an NFL draft pick, play multiple sports.
Definitely.
All right. So check that podcast out. What was the name of that? Do you remember what we called that?
I believe it was the importance of playing multiple sports.
Yeah, it was like multiple sport participation.
Yep.
Something like that. It was one of the first episodes we did, five or six, something like that. And that brings us to this week's topic: recovery, nutrition, and hydration, and its effects on optimal performance.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, when you first proposed this, it brought back a lot of memories of college, a lot of bad memories.
Well, and it's one of those topics. Right now, one of the hotter topics is sleep and the importance of it and how important it is for recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And the great thing about sleep, it's free, so you don't have to pay for it. You just have to make sure you're getting quality sleep. With a lot of the tracking information out there, without a lot of the apps, and you got a little Whoop strap,
Fitbit.
There you go. So it measures your sleep. It measures how your quality of sleep, which is really important if you want to perform at the highest level.
Yeah, and I think it goes in line with everything else we're talking about here. Measurement, repetition. If you want to perform if you're doing squats, you keep count of your weights, your reps, and you make sure that you're performing better. If you're doing skill work, you increase the number of repetitions of jump shots that you take within a practice. And the same thing can be applied to sleep. They provide you with a way to measure your performance in sleeping. And there's a lot of information out there on how to make it better. You try that, and then you track it, you measure it to see if it's actually working.
Well, and one of the things that a lot of people have issues with, and they don't, I think we've discussed this on a previous podcast, the importance of routine. I think it was with the mental health podcast, that you need a routine, especially with the pandemic going on. And part of having a successful routine is also having a routine for sleep. How do you get ready for bed? And one of the main things that we're doing with our children is we make sure that they get off any electronic device an hour and a half to 2 hours before they go to sleep, because the ambient light from video games, the ambient light from their cell phones messes up their brain waves. So it's a stimulus that it doesn't allow them to get into REM and get into the deep sleep that they need in order to help them with their growth, because all of my children are still growing, and to make sure that they are get the sleep that they need so that they can be their best for the following day.
Yeah, and for the people that are having issues sleeping, that's one of the biggest things that the experts say is the rhythm, because your body's in a particular rhythm, and if you mess that up by not adhering to it, that's going to screw your sleep up.
And I I see a bunch of strength coaches when they travel, the first thing they do is they go into their hotel room, they drop the air conditioning down to like 66 degrees or as low as possible, and they make the room as dark as possible. So you want ideally you want to be in a very dark room, and you want it to be cold, so your body can get the proper rest and recovery that it needs. Once again, dealing with the importance of recovery, a lot of people don't understand that, more isn't better. When we're training, we're actually breaking the body down. So in order for the body to recover, not only do we need proper recovery, but we also need to make sure that we're staying hydrated and that we're eating properly. So a lot of things that we don't, I know I was guilty of it. I know I was guilty of it. Sorry, Chris just took a big drink of water.
Something I didn't do enough of in college.
Well, and most people don't. When you're an adolescent, and when you're in college, you're still an adolescent. Most people, you can get away with not eating properly and not getting the rest that you need, and not being hydrated. But looking back on it, I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to help younger athletes sidestep the mistakes that we made when we were their age.
Yeah. One of the best things I saw was when I'd come down to Fairfield U to train you in the men's basketball locker room. Right inside every single stall, there was a big, bright yellow piece of construction paper that said, "If your pee looks like this, you are dehydrated."
Yeah, I mean, the best way to see if you're hydrated is, check out your color of your pee. If you're not taking vitamins or any supplements, your urine should be clear. I mean, nobody should be able to tell that somebody went to the bathroom after you went to the bathroom. So,
Yeah.
I always would ask my athlete, what's the color of your pee, and they'd be like, "What?" I'm like,
Good morning to you, Mark, Mr. Coach Spellman.
What?
Good morning to you too, Coach Spellman.
Yeah, I mean, if your urine is a high yellow or dark or a brown, we need to get some water in you quickly.
Yeah, I think if it's brown, you got some other issues.
Yeah, there might be something going wrong with the kidneys. But like your body when you're thirsty, that's your body saying, "Yo, I'm a little dehydrated here. I need some fluid in me."
Yeah. I've also seen quite a few places that a lot of people will mistake dehydration for hunger. So their body will be dehydrated and it will manifest in them being hungry, and they'll run for food instead of water.
Well, and that's if you're an individual that's trying to lose weight, start with your hydration. The recommended is, I believe it's still 8 ounce glasses throughout the day. So it's 64 ounces throughout the day. But if you're drinking caffeinated beverages, you got to add another, you got to equal that with another same serving size in water. For athletes, I'd actually tell them to probably go over 64 ounces. And, it's one of those things. The basketball strength coach at the University of Cincinnati, he's working on his hydration right now. So he has a gallon jug, and he's marked it out on the jug. At 7 a.m. he starts drinking. By noon he wants to be halfway done, and by 7 p.m. he wants to be done with the whole thing.
And I think, isn't there some kind of balance with the other electrolytes in your body? If doing too much water could be detrimental too. You have to have the other parts of the chemistry that are involved in hydration rather than just the H2O.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know specifically what the balance needs to be, for between alkalinity and acidity and all that good, the pH balance and all that good stuff. But, I'm old school. I still drink tap water. Um,
I think in general, though, between a half a gallon and a gallon is probably you're fine as long as you're eating properly. If you go beyond that, that's probably when you have to start really looking at the intake of the other nutrients that you're putting in your body.
yeah, and we're not only going to talk about the importance of sleep and the importance of hydration, but also nutrition. You know, getting back to sleep, there was a study, I believe, in 2011 with the Stanford men's basketball program, and they did a sleep study, and they increased their sleep by, I think they required all their players to get 9 hours of sleep throughout the day. And I just pulled up the study, and it's they did a study. They had them fill out a questionnaire before they started the study, and then during the study they were required all of the players to get 9 hours of sleep throughout the day. So for a college student, getting 9 straight hours of sleep usually doesn't happen, but they had them take naps throughout the day, and they found that not only did their attitudes improve, but their actual performance improved as well. And they had them go through, I believe, once again, I didn't read through the whole study, but I think they had them do anywhere between 5 to 10 basketball related activities, and on every single one of those activities, their performance improved.
I can attest to that. I was notorious for power naps during college. And I mean, we're talking, I think on the low end, 7 minutes. And then, anywhere between 7 minutes and 20 minutes, probably more around 10 or 12 minutes. But it made all the difference in the world. I was more attentive, and it was mostly for classes, but I mean, that type of stuff would translate well over into sports, I'm sure. But in between classes, if I had 30 minutes, I would take a power nap, and, it would help me pay attention more. The attention was a lot more focused.
Yeah, and you look at you know the group of individuals who have their sleep disrupted the most are new parents, and you see with new parents how how disrupting their sleep with a baby, and how it changes not only their attitude but their mental clarity.
And their work, their
Oh,
performance at work.
I know with all three births of my children that I had no idea what I was doing for like 3 months. Because you're getting maybe 3 hours of sleep straight, maybe if you're lucky, and then you're being woken up, and then you might get another two. So it's just one of those things that letting your body recover and making sure that you have the time to let your body heal from training. Because once again, when we're training, we're breaking our body down, and then you need to let the body take the time to recover with the protein synthesis. So it's going to be a good segue into proper nutrition.
Before we get into that, one of the interesting things I found about wearing this Fitbit and analyzing sleep, you hear all over the place the recommended amount of sleep. You hear 8 hours, sometimes it's 9 hours for athletes. You never get that because there's a percentage of your sleep in which you are awake. And I've found that it's somewhere around an hour. So if you're scheduling 8 hours to sleep, you're really only getting 7,
Yeah, I mean, most people, this past year I've been sleeping in a recliner because of my surgery. But I fidget, I move, I get woken up. I know my sleep for the last year hasn't been great. And it's one of the things that I'm trying to work on to get back into the bed so I can get the proper sleep that I need. But that's part of what's been, I think, delaying my full recovery, is that I haven't been able to get a straight 8-9 hours of sleep.
Yeah, it's not easy when you're injured and you can't get comfortable, for sure.
No, no. I mean, and the last thing I want to do is medicate myself or do anything to have to force myself to sleep. So,
Yeah. You know, one of the other interesting things that I found about it is that, you know, I've always felt like I was a good sleeper. You know, again, going back to college, the recovery, nutrition, hydration, sleeping was probably the best thing I could do. And I wasn't someone who would sleep until, you know, 10, 11, 12 you know, in the afternoon. But I would fall out easily. I would close my eyes, go to sleep, and then, you know, wake up refreshed the next day. I didn't have any issues. But when I started tracking the sleep, uh, Fitbit didn't think I was such a good sleeper. And you know, and that's, it really depended on the quality of sleep, not necessarily the amount of sleep. So there would be nights where I would only get 4 or 5 hours of sleep, but I'd get a high rating because I got all my REM and all my deep sleep in. And then there'd be other nights where I'd sleep 9 hours and I'd get a low rating because for whatever reason, I only got 24 minutes of deep sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that people should realize, if you're not using any technology or anything like that, if you wake up and you're still tired, you probably didn't get a good night's sleep. If you wake up and you're refreshed and you're ready to go, you probably got quality sleep. I mean,
You
technology is
find
great.
yourself whining or crying early on in the day, you probably didn't get enough sleep.
Exactly. I mean, it's, you know, if you wake up and you're like, man, I'm still tired, then your sleep probably wasn't that good. I mean, and it's one of those things that everybody's trying to really focus on, you know, as far as, you know, performance and what easy ways to make sure that you can perform at the highest level possible. And these are all three things that you can control. You
And
can,
Mark, you started going into how the protein synthesis from the food we ingest happens within our sleep for recovery.
uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I believe, you know, I was looking up, you know, proper breakdown of nutrition. And, you know, you'll have people, you know, 50, 30, 20, you know, however you're going to break up 100% as to carbs, protein, and fat. Um, but what I would say for most people is it really depends on the individual and the activity that they do as far as what they need to perform at the highest level possible. I will also state this: I am not a registered dietitian or a nutritionist. So if you want to know more about proper nutrition, you need to find somebody that is either an RD or an RN, because what most people don't understand, telling somebody how to eat is like giving them medicine. So if you don't have a license and you're telling people what to eat, you could get in real big trouble if those individuals that you are working with have some complications with what you're prescribing.
I think it's good to know the generalities
Yeah,
of nutrition, like we're talking about. But when it comes down to individuality and making sure you're doing the right thing, you want to seek out someone who's an expert.
yeah. I mean, I'm 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 still old school, so you know the food pyramid still kind of works.
Yep.
I would you know, I believe for athletes, it's for protein, you're looking between 1 to 2 grams of protein for every kilogram of body weight. So remember, kilograms, what is it? 1 kilo equals 2.2 pounds. So take your body weight in pounds, divide it by 2.2, and that's what you're looking for protein ingestion. You also need to make sure that you know, your sources of protein, uh, your lean meat, your fish, your chicken, your legumes, um, for those individuals that are not meat eaters. Um, and then, you know, you need carbs. Your source of carbs, you're going to want to look at, you know, fruits, vegetables. Um, you know, I like pasta, I like bread, but it's when you're ingesting that. I try and keep my carbs higher in the morning and midday, and try and not eat as high carbs in the evening. And then your fat, you need fat. Fat is good for you.
Yeah,
Um,
it lines your cellular walls. The good
well,
fat.
it's it's good for your brain. But we're talking good fat. You know, um, I believe what happened back in the day when everybody was looking at the evils of fat, it wasn't so much that it wasn't so much the fat that they were worried about. I believe it was the sugar companies that were saying how bad fat is.
Uh,
And hey, lo and behold, it's sugar that's really not that good for you.
that ends up turning to fat when you don't use it.
Yeah, but it's also, type 2 diabetes. I
Yeah,
mean, you look at it, and I believe in one 15-ounce soda or 12-ounce soda, there's 17 teaspoons of sugar.
that's crazy.
I mean, so
I think one of the other important parts of protein is, a lot of athletes will, when they don't have a lot of education on the subject, they'll think of protein and they'll think, the more protein you eat, uh, the more muscle you're going to build, and that's not the case at all. In fact, your body, if it's not in the right state to accept the protein, it's just wasteful. You'll just end up
getting rid of it.
getting rid of it instead of using it. And I think there's also a timing issue with protein too, right? Your
Yep.
body can absorb it better almost directly after a workout or a sporting event, rather than after a couple hours after.
I think the sweet spot from everything that I've read and listened to is you've got like a 30 to 45-minute window after your workout. And you're not just ingesting protein, but you want a nice carbohydrate and protein mix to go in so that the proteins are better received for your body to use and help to resynthesize the muscle breakdown.
And I
So
don't, I don't think it hurts to do something not too long before bed so that your body has enough protein in it for that protein synthesis while you're sleeping.
yeah, I mean, once again, depending on how your sleep goes, I mean, we're not. I'm not telling you to eat a 16-ounce steak right before you close your eyes, but some protein. I mean, I'm lucky enough that every night my dinner's pretty well balanced. We'll have a protein, we'll have a vegetable, and we'll have a carbohydrate. So we'll pretty much take care of it as far as eating a balanced meal for dinner. And but all three things that we've talked about today, the hydration, the sleep, and nutrition, those are all three things that are controlled by yourself. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you can control these. You don't, and then it gets back to how important is your success to you. I mean, with these three things that you can control on a daily basis, how important it is for you to succeed is how well you do these three things.
In regards to nutrition, the carbs, the protein, and the fats is referred to as macronutrients, and people are pretty familiar with that type of stuff. But one of the most important things that you need to look into and research is micronutrients. All the vitamins and minerals and trace elements that your body needs uh, to get the right chemistry inside of your body to perform all the functions that it does.
But
And a lot of that stuff can be derived from a mix of fruits and vegetables. In fact, color variety is the most important thing to look for when you're looking at fruits and vegetables, because the different chemical molecules express themselves in different colors.
well, and I would always ask my athletes, what did your plate of food look like? Did it look like a rainbow? If it looked like a rainbow, we're doing pretty good. It's one of those things.
Yeah,
You know?
and going back to the sugar manufacturers, that's one of the key things that they tapped into. With this rainbow, of colors of sugary stuff. They're tricking your body because your body sees color in order to consume the micronutrients that it needs. And when they're putting those beautiful colors out there that are just nothing but sugar, they're
Fruit Loops.
yeah, they're tricking your mind into, grabbing for that because your body is actually yearning for those colors, but from fruits and vegetables.
Well, and it's one of those things like if you're going to the supermarket, I mean the rule that I was always told is stay on the outside, stay on the perimeter. If you walk around a Stop and Shop or a Big Y right now, next time you do it, just walk the outside and see what you have on the outside. On the outside, you have produce, you have your fruits, your vegetables, you have your meat, you know, and you have your bread. So it's like going down any one of the aisles. That's usually the trap. That's where you have all the yummy things, but the things that aren't going to be best for you to perform at the highest level possible.
Yeah. And if you're in high school or college, like Mark was saying, these are the things under your control. You need to do more research. You need to take this seriously as part of your training regimen. If you're younger, that's going to fall on your parents. And if you're a parent of a younger one, pre-high school age, you've got to look into this for them. You are their source for ingesting the proper micronutrients for their body.
Well, I was on a walk yesterday with my son, my youngest son, and we got talking about nutrition. I don't know why, but we got talking about it. And I was like, he was like, Dad, man, I noticed I'm losing my belly, and I was like, yeah, well, you're getting taller. He's like, yeah, and I'm working out. And I'm like, you know, if you view yourself as a high performance car, you want to make sure you put the high performance fuel in. So, the stuff that you've been eating, all that high sugary stuff like the Fruit Loops and stuff like that, that's not high performance fuel. We need to eat more fruits and vegetables, and trying to educate him and make it fun for him so he understands, like, what you put in. The saying is, you are what you eat. So, if you garbage in, garbage out. And I heard this a while ago. I mean, you can't out train a bad diet. If your diet's off, no matter how well you train, or how hard you train, it's not gonna beat a bad diet.
Yeah.
So you really need to focus on those things to make sure that you can perform at the highest level possible.
And you gotta be prepared. You have to plan your meals out in advance, because if you're hungry and you're in a rush, you're going to grab for whatever's closest and might not necessarily be the right things.
Once again, failing to plan is planning to fail. So
yeah, I was telling a story the other day about basketball when we would go on away trips. We'd get like a $15 or $20 food stipend for the day. And the first thing all of us would do that morning would run to the corner store, and there was a corner store that served breakfast sandwiches, and a Jamaican store right next door. So we'd go in, and for less than $5, I'd get 3 bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches and 2 Jamaican beef patties, and stuff them in my bag, and that would be my nutrition for the day. And we'd pocket the other 15 or $20 for probably bad things later on after we got done with the game. We could probably do a whole podcast on why you shouldn't do that.
Well, and also, I would see teams come back, and I would see in the trash can, empty pizza boxes.
I love pizza.
And once again, pizza, depending on the toppings, pizza's a perfectly
vegetable pizza.
Pizza's a perfect food depending on what you put on the top of it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, as you get higher up into the athletic programs, there's going to be a registered dietitian. There's going to be a registered nutritionalist. There's going to be people that are going to be telling you what to eat so that you can either gain weight, lose weight, or stay where you're at so you can perform optimally. The other thing that I would tell people is if you are doing any nutritional supplements, you need to make sure that these supplements are third and fourth party tested. They are very loosely regulated by the FDA. So what that means is that they don't really make sure that every batch that they're making is what they say. They can slap a label on any of their containers and say their supplement does this, this, and this, when in reality it doesn't. It's the nutrition supplement industry is a multi-billion-dollar a year industry. That's right, billion with a B.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can cut a corner and put something into their supplement that's going to give you a reaction that gets you hooked on their product, they're going to do it. And a lot of these companies don't have what's in your best interest. And the time of, oh, I didn't know what was in the supplement. If you test positive in the NCAA for a banned substance, you are out for a year. That means you do not get to compete.
No red shirt either.
No, you lose that year. That year is gone. And you see a lot of it now with athletes saying they didn't know what they were taking, but it's also because whatever they were taking, they're not fourth party tested. So you could have the supplement company doing a batch of like TRT, which is testosterone replacement therapy. They could be doing a batch of that, and then their next batch they're doing like creatine or some other supplement or a whey protein, and the residue from the testosterone still in the blender, still in the vat. So yeah, there's going to be some trace elements of that supplement in with the other stuff, and you're going to take it and you're going to you're going to test positive for the testosterone, which if your levels are higher than a certain level, you're going to test positive and you're going to be out for a year.
Do your research.
Yep. Once again, it's on you as the individual and as the athlete to make sure whatever you're putting in your mouth is doing what it needs to be doing, and it's aiding in your recovery so that you can perform at the highest level possible. Once again, you've heard me say this multiple times throughout this this podcast. Everything that we've talked about today is to aid in your recovery so that you can perform at the highest level possible. And it's your responsibility.
If you have certain issues too, reactions to food, whether it be through your skin or you have stomach pains or even sleep issues, you can also go get your blood tested through certain nutritionists, and they'll tell you what you're allergic to. And it might be a wide variety of things. My wife got tested a couple months ago, and we couldn't believe all the different things that she was allergic to. And once she eliminated those things, the issues she was having went away.
Yeah, I mean, once again, food is one of those things that a lot of people use for a variety of reasons. Joe Rogan says it's mouth pleasure. That's why people go to those things that they shouldn't be ingesting, like soda and ice cream and
it's brain pleasure too, really, is what it is, what it comes down to.
When you're feeling bad, what do you eat? I mean, you eat things that make you feel good. I mean, when you're feeling bad, you don't go and get a carrot stick.
Yeah, you're looking right.
You don't make a salad.
You're looking for a specific chemical release in the brain.
Exactly. So also understand that, understand that, what you're ingesting, why you're ingesting, and what are the consequences of it.
Yep. All right, Mark, let's leave it there. There'll be far more podcasts about nutrition specifically. We'll bring on experts and we'll really dig into it, but that's a good general overview of recovery, nutrition, and hydration. And again, check out that podcast that we did that Mark mentioned earlier. The name of it again was The Importance of Cross-Training and Multiple Sport Participation. Thanks for tuning in. Check us out on the next one.
Have a great day. Enjoy your week. All my best. God bless. See you when we see you.
Peace.
Deuce.